Good morning, everyone. I am K.S. Narayana, the other, and this theory I started in March 1982 to give enlightenment to the entire world as a hobby, and later it became a challenge. So I continued with it, with the development going stronger and stronger day by day until it reached 9 annexures till now. Today is 1st November 2020, and tomorrow is my birthday, 2nd November. And for this Herculean task, many people helped. There were many heroes and heroines, and the heroes and heroines are hundreds and thousands. So I can't number or name all of them. I can say briefly, the primary among them is my wife, K. Padmavati, and later on, I picked up the speed and encouragement from various sources. Now, this theory is with an intention to give a fundamental foundation for the entire modern science, that is physics, and we should be able to comprehend the entire universe with the help of this theory. And with that intention, this theory was started, and with that intention, this theory will continue as long as there are inputs. And here, as you can see, the abstract is there, and also you can see the universe and universality. The basic idea behind the theory is that the whatever is applicable on the earth is also applicable throughout the universe. That is the basic belief in while doing this theory, and that this universality of all the laws, phenomena is used in building up the theory of universality. And later we come to the first 10 postulates, which I have written in March 1982 in a matter of 10 minutes, and they are valid even now. And the 10 basic equations are derived for you, and they are easy to understand, very easy to see the proof of them, very user friendly, and you need not worry about how they are derived. Very easy to understand. I have made it as simple and as elementary as possible. Next, we come to the proof. Then I had an idea. I should give proof of what my theory is saying all about. So, if I don't give the proof of what I'm saying, it will not get a serious attention. So, with that intention, I started giving proof. And first, I derived the gravitational constant, universal gravitational constant, capital G, using the concept that the force of the sun on the earth is derived as per F equal to G into M1 M2 by R square, and also as per some other way of calculating the force from the universal force. And finally, the capital G turned out to be 5.871 10 power minus 11, and that agreed with the experimental result of 6.673 to 10 power minus 11. The small difference is because of many approximations I have done, and if you apply rigorous mathematics, the exact value of capital G will come out. And then we come to Stephen's law of Stephen-Boltzmann law of radiation, and in that I have rederived the value of Stephen's constant, which came as 5.314 into 10 power minus 8, and it agreed with the experimental result of 5.66969 into 10 power minus 8. The small discrepancy once again is due to approximations, and the novel logic here I have used is that F equal to E square by CH. This is an equation of my theory, and E equal to square root FCH. With this equation, I have got the total energy outpouring from the sun as equal to 1 by root 2 R capital R1 by small r1 into mc square. This is a novel concept, Once proved, I felt confident that my theory is correct. And then I went on to prove epsilon naught mu naught C, sorry, epsilon naught mu naught E in my theory. They all agreed with the experimental values. Then I wanted to do some predictions based on my theory, and it came out that the planets are exerting a force of 20,000 billion times the force of sun's force on the planets. That is, each planet is exerting around 20,000 billion times the force of sun's gravitation on the planets. So at first I was surprised. I could not believe. How could it be? How can the planets exert more force than the sun is exerting on the planets? So it violates Newton's third law of motion. That is, action and reaction are equal and opposite. But still I went ahead and published it. But later the proof came out that what I found out, that 20,000 billion times the sun's gravitational force on the planets is the force of the planets on the sun, has indeed come out to be correct. And the proof is given in 1 minute. The proof is given in annexure 8. All of you can see it in annexure 8 is given, and it is worth reading, and you will feel really excited to know that the planets are exerting more force on the sun than the sun is exerting force on the planets. Actually, I have a feeling that sun is being dragged in the Milky Way galaxy by the planets, or the sun is helped in fusing and shining by the planets. One of the two or both. Then I have given conclusions. These are all wonderful possibilities. We can do so many innumerable possibilities of working with my theory. You can create planets, stars, satellites to the planets, and it is equally possible to change and control the movement or momentum of any celestial body in the universe. So there are so many possibilities, provided the humanity survives. See, that condition and clause and caution are always there. So we should survive first to do the wonderful possibilities which my theory predicts. And then we have, after the conclusions, I have gone on to give some more observations. These observations developed over a period of time. When I gave the conclusions, I thought that that's about all to my theory. But later I realized that I have some more ideas coming. So I continued with the theory. And as you know, it is now almost 38 years since I started doing my theory, since March 1982. Now the basic concept here is the Earth going around the Sun has a speed, in an absolute sense, higher than the speed of the Sun. Whatever the speed of the Sun may be, and the Earth has its own speed plus the speed of the solar system. That means the Earth is going at a higher speed compared to the Sun, but it has less mass. This is possible only if both are traveling greater than the speed of light, because I assumed that all planets or stars started with the same initial mass from the black hole, or maybe central universal black hole. So there you have the equations and derivations which prove the Kepler's laws once again, thereby proving that my concepts and thinking are correct. Here again, I have assumed that the concept is more important than the precision. So Kepler's laws are proved as per my theory, and the planets and sun are traveling at a speed higher than the speed of light. The starting mass of all celestial bodies is the same. And these are I first make assumptions. And if the assumptions are correct based on normal human logic, then I assume that the assumptions, what assumptions I assumed are correct. If I get the result, some practical result, experimental result. Then in annexure 1, I proved so many constants just to boost my own confidence that I am on the right path. that is one Boltzmann constant. All of this is very user friendly and reader friendly. Reader friendly, you can easily understand. Hubble's constant, and then strong nuclear force, and then weak nuclear force, and then universal gas constant. It looks to be elementary. What I've done looks to be of elementary mathematics, and it's very simple way of handling the problems of the universe. But remember what Einstein said is eternally true. Nature is simple and the laws of nature are simplicity. And you have free space impedance, which is derived by me by using my theory, and then speed of rotation of the sun. This was again proved to be correct. And in the process, I have also understood that the velocity of sun is nearly this velocity of light. Then Newton's law, I have re-derived the Newton's law, F equal to ma, and proved that for lower speeds, at lower speeds, F equal to ma is a valid result. However, if the speeds are very high, then F equal to ma also does not hold good because mass keeps changing. Then cosmic background microwave radiation. This is a very important discovery in my theory. I have discovered that cosmic background microwave radiation is not some universal radiation, but a radiation by the celestial objects. All celestial objects are at various stages of evolution. First, they are in the form of small bubbles from the black hole, and then planets, then stars, then black holes, and then again into the central universal black hole. Now, when it is at various stages of evolution, each celestial object emits a radiation, and that is cosmic background microwave radiation that is proved here. Then age of the sun. This is a beauty. Age of the sun is proved assuming that the sun comes out of the central universal black hole at a high speed of 2.1456 into 10 power 23 meters per second. And this much speed, with this much speed, the age of the sun is derived as 4.4491 billion years, which agrees with 4.5 billion years of already experimentally found value. And then I have made some predictions. The first prediction was that the planets exert more force on the sun than the sun exerts on the planets. The second prediction is that Earth is a hollow sphere, and this is proved by me later on in subsequent annexures. Now, in annexure 2, I have proved separation of Earth from Sun. The main concept here is the space volume is conserved in the same way as mass energy is conserved. This is the main concept. The rest is all easy to follow. Everywhere I used elementary mathematics, but I have not missed out any single fact. Then the absolute rest mass of Sun, very surprisingly, it came out to be 0.487 kg. Just the size of an apple, a big size apple. Then derivation of elementary charge E. While deriving the elementary charge E, assume the Earth to be a hollow sphere, and the derivation of the elementary charge is done rigorously with the same assumptions which scientists have been following till now, and it came out to be 1.592752 to 10 power minus 19 SI units, which agrees with 1.602 to 10 power minus 19. Therefore, because it agreed, we can assume that the assumption Earth is a hollow sphere is also correct. Then they have made some more predictions. Snell's law I've re-derived using my theory. Then gravitational law, this is a beauty because till now it is a big mystery how gravity is functioning throughout the universe. Newton has found out the gravitational law, but nobody knows why it follows that law. Why F equal to G into M1 M2 by R square. Then of course I struggled to prove it, and finally the capital G turned out to be 4c cubed lambda p square mp divided by Na to the power 2 by 3 into h, and the value is 6.66889 into 10 power minus 11, and agrees with the experimental value of 6.67384 into 10 power minus 11. And this, mind you, I have done after a serious illness which almost took away my life. And really, I think there is some power which is behind my enormous effort of doing the theory. And that power wants me to survive and do the theory in spite of nearly touching the death with that illness. Then the surface density of central black hole. Then we come to annexure 4. Here I have derived that the relative velocity of Earth in the absolute velocity of the Earth in the Milky Way galaxy or universe, you can say, is equal to v plus v1, where v is the velocity of the sun and v1 is the velocity of the Earth. Then again dark energy I derived as 6.08136 tons, and it agreed with nearly 26 tons already observed. Then I have derived electron and proton charge using Sun's model, and all the values agreed with the experimental values. Then I have derived the percentage of the dark energy, dark matter, dark energy mass in solar system up to Pluto orbit. They all agreed with the practical percentages. The time sun will last before it explodes into supernova, that it came out to be 9.45 billion tons, and this is proved 9.45 billion tons is proved in some other place. So giving me confidence that I am on the right track. And then the actual radius of the universe that came out to 140 billion trillion light years, and the size of the central universal black hole is 9.81 into 10 power minus 64. Amazing, it is so small. And the mass of the central universal black hole is 1.2 into 10 power minus 53 kg. And but the density is enormous. The density of the central universal black hole is 1.037 into 10 power 165, highest in the universe. Then of course I have done small discoveries. That is why electron does not lose energy in a circular orbit in an atom, and derivation of G factor of electron, negative time. And this is an important concept. See, when the sun comes to an absolute rest and turns and goes back into the central universal black hole, it has momentarily negative mass. So negative mass means negative time inertia. So that means negative time also is possible. So when an object comes out of the black hole, it is doing positive time. When it is returning in its path to the parental black hole, it is doing negative time. Age of the observable universe. The age of the observable universe is once again calculated and proved to be 14.05 billion years, and this agreed with the observed values. Then I have done the quantum gravitational constant, that again turned out to be as per the observed value. Then one more thing I have done is CMBR, that is cosmic microwave background radiation. This I proved as nothing other than due to the absolute motion of the various celestial objects. Remember, this is a groundbreaking discovery. CMBR is not a universal radiation. It is the radiation from all the celestial objects. And incidentally, it happens to be the same frequency because the celestial bodies at different stages of evolution exhibit the same uh, radiation frequency. Then angle of sun's motion in the galaxy makes with the Earth's ecliptic. Negative time sun takes to reach the CUBH from absolute rest. Remember, both the positive time and negative time together contribute to the total time of the universe. That is one more fantastic observation. It comes to be 13.8954 billion years. The total time, that is one life cycle of sun, is equal to the universal time, observable universal time. Then of course I've done some findings on black dark matter, and those things I have written down here. Here is the wonderful proof of why planets exert more force on the sun, 20,000 billion times more force on the sun than the sun's force of gravitational attraction on the planets. Very meticulously done. Then the derivation of Planck's constant. This is once again quantum tunneling done meticulously to give you an observed value, a theoretical value of 0.9088 in 10 power 28, and that agrees with 1 in 10 power 28. Then of course I have done solar corona, how the solar corona heating is taking place due to the extra force acting on the sun from the planets. Then strong CP problem also was solved. Matter antimatter parity in mass within solar system. At the time when I was writing this, I had a firm belief that matter and antimatter have absolute parity in the solar system as well as the universe. But later I got changed. I came to realize matter is more than the antimatter in the universe, slightly more than the antimatter in the universe. Now the speed of separation of Earth due to neutrinos impact, that also came very close to the observed value. That is, observed value is 15.3 centimeter per year. The theoretical value is 15.79 centimeter per year. Sonoluminescence. Energy density of vacuum space. Dark matter does quantum communication, and this has to be proved experimentally. But I have proof of dark matter speed, that is 2.1456 into 10 power 23 meters per second. And the proof I achieved in 3 places. That is, one place is speed of separation of Proxima Centauri star from the sun due to impact of dark matter. This is where I have shown that the speed of dark matter is 2.1456 into 10 power 23 meters per second. Another proof was given in the age of the sun, and the third proof is given while doing the angle of sun's motion in the Milky Way galaxy. That's it, my dear friends. I am here to help the world with more and more findings, and as long as I am able to do it, I wish I am truth and accurate and correct forever. Thank you.